Number 1, Iran, the beating heart of Eurasia. When you look at a map, Iran sits like a giant hinge between east and west. Covering about 1,700,000 square kilometers, it is the 17th largest country in the world and shares borders with 7 neighbors. This land is wrapped almost entirely by mountains. The Zagros Range rises in the west, while the Alborz towers in the north with Mount Damavand, a snow-capped peak that reaches over 5,600 meters. Because of this rugged terrain, Iran feels like a natural fortress, hard to invade and hard to cross. Yet the same mountains that once protected Iran also made travel and trade inside the country difficult. Communities isolated in high valleys preserved their unique languages and traditions for centuries. Today, more than 70 languages and dialects are still spoken, with Persian as the main tongue. It explains why cultural diversity remains such a defining feature of Iran. Nature here can be extreme. In the dashed Lut Desert, NASA recorded surface temperatures of more than 70 degrees Celsius in the year 2016, the hottest ever measured on Earth. But in the north, the shores of the Caspian Sea are lush and green, filled with rice paddies and forests that feel more like Europe than the Middle East. Iran is home to about 89 million people, and more than half are under the age of 30. This youthful energy shapes its cities, from the crowded bazaars of Tehran to the modern cafes of Isfahan. For travelers, it means you will meet a society that is both ancient and surprisingly young. Iran's position at the very crossroads of Eurasia makes it not only a geographic giant, but also a geopolitical heartbeat. What happens here often echoes far beyond its borders. Number 2, the art of politeness. For many travelers, the first surprise in Iran is not the landscape, but the way people communicate. Iranians are famous for a cultural code called tarof. At first, it seems like simple kindness, but it is really a carefully choreographed dance of politeness. When someone offers to pay for your meal, give you a gift, or invite you to their home, you are not expected to accept immediately. The polite response is to decline once or even twice. Only if they insist should you finally say yes. Accepting too quickly may be seen as greedy, while refusing a few times shows that you respect the gesture. Another shock for Western visitors is the thumbs up sign. What in the United States usually means good job carries a very different meaning in Iran. Here, the gesture is offensive, close to showing the middle finger. A well-meaning traveler could easily insult someone without realizing it. Instead, it is safer to express agreement with words or with a nod. Even at the dinner table, there are rules you might not expect. Guests do not serve themselves first. The host will always take the lead, placing food on your plate as a sign of respect. If you reach for the serving spoon before the host does, it can feel impolite. These customs remind us that politeness in Iran is not just about good manners, but about balance, humility, and respect. When you follow these unspoken rules, you will quickly be welcomed as a friend rather than a stranger. Number 3, women of Persia and their shifting ideals. Beauty in Iran has always been a mirror of history. During the Qajar dynasty in the late 18th and 19th centuries, a woman with a round face, a full figure, and even a faint mustache was considered the height of elegance. Princess Esmat al-Dawla, painted with delicate facial hair, was once celebrated as one of the most attractive women in the royal court. At that time, a mustache symbolized wealth and power. But with the arrival of Western influence in the early 20th century, ideals began to shift. Today, Iranian women are admired for their fair skin, dark, thick hair, and refined nose bridges. Plastic surgery, especially nose reshaping, has become so common that Tehran is sometimes called the rhinoplasty capital of the world. Still, beauty here is more than appearance. Education and ambition are now part of what defines modern Iranian womanhood. By the early 1990s, women already formed the majority in universities. Now they make up around 60% of students nationwide, the highest proportion among Middle Eastern countries. This academic presence translates into strong voices in science, literature, and the arts. Yet personal life tells a more complex story. In relationships, Iranian women often appear reserved in the beginning, but once trust is built, they can be warm, expressive, and determined partners. Social expectations, however, remain strict. In Tehran, nearly 40% of women are single, and the divorce rate hovers around 30%. Many women look beyond national borders, open to international marriage as a path toward greater freedom and equality. The story of Iranian women is one of resilience. From royal courts to modern campuses, they continue to redefine what it means to be beautiful, successful, and free. Number 4, gasoline cheaper than water. It sounds like a traveler's joke, but in Iran, it is absolutely true. Filling a car with gasoline often costs less than buying bottled water. As of recent years, 1 liter of fuel is priced at only a few American cents, while a simple bottle of mineral water can be half a dollar or more. The reason lies in Iran's extraordinary oil and gas reserves. The country holds nearly 30 billion barrels of proven crude oil and more than 33 trillion cubic meters of natural gas, second only to Russia. On a normal day in 2024, Iran pumped around 3.5 million barrels of crude oil. About 1.25 million barrels were used domestically, while the rest was exported, bringing in over $100 billion in revenue. For ordinary Iranians, these subsidies mean affordable transport and heating. But the policy also creates problems. Domestic consumption has risen to more than 100 million liters per day, far above the refining capacity. To close the gap, Iran sometimes has to import fuel, an odd situation for a nation so rich in energy. Cheap prices also encourage smuggling. Each day, 10 to 20 million liters are illegally taken across borders to Afghanistan, Pakistan, or Turkey, where fuel is worth many times more. Experts warn that while cheap gasoline feels like a blessing, it strains the national budget and discourages investment in renewable energy. In the long run, it could slow Iran's path toward economic stability. Number 5, the golden legacy of the Persian Empire. Long before modern borders, Persia was the name that carried weight across continents. Under Cyrus the Great in the 6th century before Christ, the Achaemenid Empire rose from a small kingdom to become the world's first true superpower. Within just 2 decades, its territory stretched from the Indus River in the east to the Aegean Sea in the west, covering nearly 6 million square kilometers. At its peak, nearly half of humanity lived under Persian rule. What set the empire apart was not only its size, but its organization. The Persians built the Royal Road, a highway of about 2,700 kilometers that connected cities from Susa to Sardis. Couriers could deliver messages across the empire in just 7 days, an ancient equivalent of express mail. The empire also pioneered provincial governance, appointing satraps, or governors, to manage regions under a unified system. This model influenced administrative structures still used by nations today. Persia's story did not end with the Achaemenids. The Sassanids, the Safavids, and later the Qajars left their marks on art, architecture, and science. But by the 19th century, Iran had become a semi-colonial state, pressured by both Britain and Russia. The struggle for control over oil fields only deepened foreign involvement. A major turning point came in the 20th century. Prime Minister Mohammad Masada's nationalization of oil in 1951 shook global markets. And in 1979, the Islamic Revolution toppled the monarchy and replaced it with a theocratic state led by clerics. That event not only transformed Iran's domestic politics, but also set the stage for decades of tension with the West. Iran's history is a cycle of glory, struggle, and resilience. To walk through Persepolis today is to feel the echo of an empire that once reshaped the ancient world. Number 6. The dirtiest man alive and forbidden drinks. In the small villages of southern Iran lived a man who baffled scientists and fascinated the world. His name was Ammu Haji, which simply means uncle. For nearly 70 years, he refused to bathe because he believed that water would make him sick. Instead, he slept in dirt pits, smoked hand-rolled cigarettes made from dried animal waste, and drank from rusty cans filled with muddy water. Yet, against all odds, Ammu lived a long life, reaching the age of 94 with no major illness. Locals sometimes called him a saint, others called him a mystery of nature. The strangest twist came near the end. After decades of resisting, Ammu was persuaded by neighbors to wash. Just a few weeks later, he passed away. To many, it seemed he had predicted his own death. His story is a reminder that Iran is not only a land of empires, but also of eccentric individuals whose lives defy explanation. While Amu's habits shocked outsiders, another hidden reality also shocks travelers. Iran is a dry country under Islamic law, where alcohol is strictly forbidden, yet a vast underground market thrives. According to border police reports in recent years, between 60 and 80 million liters of alcohol are smuggled into Iran annually, often through Iraq or Turkey. The trade is worth an estimated $700 million. The consequences can be tragic. In the year 2020, during the COVID outbreak, more than 300 people died after drinking industrial methanol, believing false rumors that it could kill the virus. Authorities responded with harsh punishments, ranging from lashes to long prison terms, and in severe cases, even the death penalty. Number 7. Marriage laws that shock the world. Few aspects of Iranian society surprise outsiders more than its marriage laws. According to civil code, girls may legally marry at the age of 13 and boys at 15. With court approval and parental consent, marriages can happen even earlier, sometimes involving girls as young as 9 or 10. Official records show that more than 3,000 underage marriages still occur each year, mostly in rural provinces. For many young girls, childhood ends the moment they put on a wedding dress. Polygamy is another practice still recognized under Iranian law. A man may marry up to 4 official wives as long as he can demonstrate financial stability and treat each wife with fairness. For women, however, once married, education and employment opportunities often narrow, highlighting the sharp gender divide in personal rights. Perhaps most unusual is the concept of temporary marriage, known locally as siyah. It allows a man and woman to enter a contract for a fixed period of time, ranging from a few hours to several years. During this time, their relationship is considered lawful under Islamic rules. In theory, this contract is meant to provide protection and legitimacy, especially for widows or divorced women. But in practice, it often creates stigma. Many men hesitate to marry women who have previously entered temporary marriages, and children born from these unions sometimes face questions about legal recognition. Critics argue that these laws weaken the institution of marriage and leave women vulnerable to exploitation. Supporters claim they are rooted in tradition and provide flexibility within religious guidelines. Either way, the debate reflects the ongoing tension between modern ideals of equality and deep-seated cultural norms. Number 8. A kingdom of refugees. Iran's geography places it at the crossroads of troubled regions, and for decades it has shouldered one of the heaviest refugee burdens in the world. Waves of people from Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and Pakistan have crossed its borders, fleeing war and instability. Official figures from 2021 counted about 800,000 registered refugees, mostly Afghans. Yet humanitarian groups estimate that an additional 1.5 to 2 million live without documents, blending into cities and villages. This massive population brings challenges. Schools in border provinces are crowded, and public hospitals stretch their resources thin. Child labor is perhaps the most visible consequence. Reports suggest at least 3 million children between the ages of 10 and 15 work in low-wage jobs such as garbage collection, street vending, or carpet weaving. Some local sources argue the real number could be closer to 7 million. These children often work long hours with little protection, their wages critical for family survival. Despite the strain, Iran still maintains relatively higher standards of living compared with other host nations in the region. Refugees often point out that food and shelter, though limited, are still more accessible here than in camps across Afghanistan or Pakistan. International agencies like the UNHCR have recognized Iran's effort in providing education and healthcare access to many of these displaced families. The story of refugees in Iran is not just about crisis, but also about resilience. It is about people trying to rebuild lives in a land that has its own struggles yet continues to open its doors. Number 9. The nose job capital of the world. If you walk down the streets of Tehran or Shiraz, one thing may catch your eye immediately: the number of people with bandages across their noses. In Iran, cosmetic surgery, especially rhinoplasty, has become so common that the country is often called the nose job capital of the world. Estimates suggest that around 40,000 nose surgeries are performed each year. That is an astonishing figure for a country with strict dress codes and conservative traditions. The bandage itself has even turned into a kind of social symbol. Some young people keep it on longer than medically necessary, treating it as a badge of modernity and style. Why this obsession? Partly because the face is one of the few areas that remains visible under the hijab or headscarf. A refined nose bridge is seen as a mark of beauty and confidence. Costs also play a role. Compared to the United States or Europe, procedures in Iran are much more affordable, drawing clients from abroad who travel here for surgery. Interestingly, it is not only women who seek this transformation. A growing number of Iranian men are also going under the knife in pursuit of sharper features. For many Iranians, rhinoplasty is more than cosmetic. It is about asserting identity, breaking away from old norms, and creating new opportunities in work and personal life. Clinics are booked weeks in advance, a sign of how deeply this trend has taken root. Number 10. Persian carpets worth a fortune. For more than 2,000 years, Persian carpets have been treasured as symbols of elegance and craftsmanship. Along the ancient Silk Road, merchants carried these hand-woven masterpieces to Europe, where they were described as portable treasures. Each carpet was more than decoration. It was a story told in knots, patterns, and colors. Today, the tradition survives, though the market has changed. A standard hand-woven Persian carpet can cost around $3,000, while rare and antique pieces may sell for hundreds of thousands. The record stands at more than $33 million for the Clark sickle leaf carpet, sold at auction in New York in the year 2013. To put that into perspective, an average American earning about $86,000 a year would need to work for centuries without spending a dime to afford such a masterpiece. Behind these prices lies extraordinary labor. A single carpet can take months or even years to complete. Families often work together, passing techniques from one generation to the next. Yet the number of skilled weavers is shrinking. Younger Iranians, facing modern costs of living, turn away from this labor-intensive craft. Exports once brought Iran more than $2 billion annually in the early 2000s. Today, due to sanctions and competition from machine-made carpets in China, India, and Pakistan, exports have fallen to less than $100 million. Many fear that without stronger support, Persian carpets could soon be found only in museums and private collections. These carpets are not just floor coverings. They are woven history, combining patience, art, and national pride. Number 11. Timeless destinations. Few places on Earth allow travelers to step directly into living history the way Iran does. The desert city of Yazd is one such treasure. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Yazd is famous for its adobe houses, narrow alleys that twist like a maze, and tall wind catchers that naturally cool the air. Long before electricity, residents mastered this form of ancient air conditioning. Visitors can spend the afternoon sipping tea on a rooftop, feeling the desert breeze just as people did centuries ago. Farther south lies Persepolis, once the ceremonial capital of the mighty Achaemenid Empire. Walking among the colossal stone columns, you can almost hear the echoes of kings who ruled nearly half the known world. Relief carvings of warriors, envoys, and animals remain so sharp that you can trace their outlines with your fingers, despite being carved more than 2,000 years ago. Each block of stone is a page from the empire's Golden Book, a reminder of Persia's influence on world history. Then there is the Alamut Valley, a place of legend. High on a craggy peak stands the ruined fortress of the Assassins, a secretive sect that once struck fear across the Middle East. Reaching the site requires a steep hike along rocky paths, but the reward is breathtaking. From the summit, the valley stretches endlessly below, revealing why this fortress was nearly impossible to conquer. These destinations together tell the story of resilience and imagination. They remind travelers that Iran is not simply a country with ancient ruins, it is a nation where the past is still present in everyday life. Transition. Yet Iran also hides mysteries beneath the ground and in the desert, places that continue to puzzle historians and archaeologists alike. Number 12. Underground labyrinths and desert pyramids. Not all of Iran's wonders stand proudly above ground. Some of its greatest mysteries are hidden beneath the earth or in the middle of desolate plains. Just 10 kilometers from the city of Kashan lies the entrance to Nushabad, a site that looks at first like an ordinary well. Step inside, and you descend into a sprawling underground city carved entirely by hand. Narrow corridors twist into chambers and staircases that sink through 3 overlapping levels. Ventilation shafts keep the air fresh, and water wells run deep into the rock. Archaeologists believe it was built during the Sassanid era more than 1,500 years ago, serving as a refuge against sudden raids. To this day, only part of the network has been mapped, and the full scale remains unknown. In the Khuzestan province, another enigma rises from the dry earth. The Choga Zanbil Ziggurat is a massive stepped pyramid built over 3,000 years ago by the Elamite kingdom. Constructed with millions of baked mud bricks, it once stood 5 levels high, aligned with the movements of the sun and stars. Some scholars believe it was a religious monument, while others argue it functioned as a giant astronomical calendar. What puzzles researchers most is its location isolated, far from major rivers or ancient cities. Why such an ambitious temple was built in the middle of a barren plain remains unanswered. Together, Nushabad and Choga Zanbil show a side of Iran that blends history with mystery. These sites remind us how much about ancient civilizations we still do not know. Number 13, a taste of Persia. To truly understand a country, you must taste its food, and in Iran, every dish carries centuries of tradition. One of the most beloved is ash reshta, a thick noodle soup brimming with lentils, beans, herbs, and a dollop of tangy yogurt. Served hot on winter days, it feels like a warm embrace, both comforting and nourishing. Families gather around a steaming bowl, dipping pieces of songak bread, a flatbread baked on hot stones, into the broth. But Iranian cuisine can also surprise. Kela pashe, a breakfast dish made from a sheep's head and feet, includes tongue, eyes, and even the brain. For Western visitors, it can be daunting. Yet locals see it as a symbol of strength and tradition. It is often eaten in the early morning, with the rich broth said to provide energy for the day. Another favorite is gourmet sabzi, a fragrant stew of herbs, red beans, beef, and dried limes. The combination of sour and savory flavors makes it unforgettable, a dish that many Iranians abroad say tastes like home. And then there is juje kebab, chicken marinated in saffron, yogurt, and lemon juice, grilled until golden. Its aroma fills the streets and invites passers-by to stop and enjoy. These meals are more than just food. They reflect the diversity of Iran's land, from fertile farms to spice markets. Sharing a table here is not only about eating, but about connecting, storytelling, and hospitality. Iranian cuisine reminds travelers that taste is another language, one that speaks of heritage and belonging. Number 14, festivals of fire and faith. Every culture has its celebrations, but in Iran, festivals are more than holidays. They are powerful expressions of identity. The most famous is Nowruz, the Persian New Year, celebrated each spring around March 21st. Rooted in Zoroastrian tradition, Nowruz marks not only the start of the year, but also the rebirth of nature. Families set up the haft-seen table, decorated with 7 symbolic items such as apples for health, garlic for protection, and coins for prosperity. People wear new clothes, visit relatives, and share sweets. UNESCO has recognized Nowruz as part of the world's cultural heritage, and it is celebrated not just in Iran, but across Central Asia and beyond. On the last Wednesday before Nowruz, Iranians welcome renewal with fire. The festival known as Chaharshanbe Suri fills neighborhoods with bonfires. Young and old alike leap over the flames while chanting blessings that sickness will leave and health will arrive. The crackle of fire, the rhythm of drums, and the laughter of crowds create an unforgettable night of light and energy. In contrast stands Ashura, a solemn day of mourning that honors the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. On the 10th day of the Islamic month of Muharram, millions dress in black, join processions, and listen to dramatic retellings of the Battle of Karbala. For Shia Muslims, Ashura is not only a religious observance, but also a symbol of resistance against injustice. The atmosphere is deeply emotional, uniting communities in reflection and solidarity. These festivals, joyful or solemn, reveal the dual character of Iran, a country that celebrates both life's renewal and the courage to endure tragedy. Number 15, living and traveling smart in Iran. For travelers, Iran can be surprisingly affordable, but it requires preparation. In Tehran, renting a one-bedroom apartment in the city center may cost between $300 and $450 per month. In smaller cities or suburban areas, the same apartment may be as low as $150. Food is inexpensive, especially if you enjoy street snacks. A filling local meal can cost just $1 or $2, while dining at a mid-range restaurant may run $4 to $7. Transportation is equally budget-friendly. Tehran subway, clean and efficient, costs only a few cents per ride. Taxis and ride-hailing apps are common, often $1 or $2 for short trips. For those who want more freedom, car rentals average $20 to $30 a day, with gasoline still among the cheapest in the world. Yet, there are challenges every visitor should note. Because of international sanctions, foreign credit and debit cards do not work in Iran. You must bring enough cash, preferably in US dollars or euros, and exchange it at authorized dealers. Internet access is another issue. Platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube are blocked, so installing a reliable VPN before arrival is essential. While violent crime rates are relatively low, border areas near Afghanistan, Iraq, and Pakistan remain unstable and should be avoided without a licensed guide. With careful planning, however, traveling in Iran is safe, affordable, and immensely rewarding.